We are continuing on Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, Hilchot Shabbat, and we are on Siman Resh Pei Dalit, starting Seif on Daf Samech Bet Amud Bet of the regular prints of your Mishna Beruras. Maran writes, Im nishtatek maftir be'emtza haftarah. We're discussing the halachot of haftarah. So what happens if a person gets up there, says the brachot, and starts doing the haftarah, and he can't go on? He can't get the voice out. He's nishtatek. He's quiet. He can't read anymore. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Haba l'sayma lo yatchil mimakom shepasek harishon, ela tzarich lachzor להתחיל ממקום שהתחיל הראשון. This is different than the regular Kriyat Torah, that you would continue from where he stopped. Over here you will go to the beginning of the maftir and read it from the very get-go, from the beginning. Kemo b'Sefer Torah, says the Shulchan Aruch, it's like a Sefer Torah for the aliyah that you have in that specific aliyah. So in other words, like the Mishna Berura explains here, ולעיין ברכה שלפניה, יש דעות בראש סימן קמ"ם. In Hilchot Sefer Torah we already discussed the halachot of whether or not you have to say a bracha also for that aliyah. If the person that went up to get the aliyah was not able to complete the aliyah, the person that goes up, whether or not he's going to say a new bracha or not is a discussion in the poskim. Adin hacha, same halacha would apply over here as well. The halacha that Pri Megadim paskins is that because it's debatable, we won't say the bracha because of sabal, because safek brachot lehakel. Now this is not necessarily so simple, even though that you would say, well, Sabal is pretty straightforward. For instance, Maran Chida wrote a sefer on halachot of Kriyat Torah. It's called Le David Emet. And in Le David Emet, Maran Chida writes, now you have to go back and say another bracha. And that is because Maran Shulchan Aruch in Stam V'yesh, earlier on in Siman Kuf Mem, paskins that the person should be saying the bracha as well. So therefore, we don't say Safek Brachot Lehakel necessarily, but the Kaf HaChaim disagrees with him. He says, no, that's according to the minhag that they had, that the maftir would say the bracha alone and everyone would listen to it, like the Kriyat Torah, and therefore here would be the same thing as the brachot of Kriyat Torah, but by us, that the maftir reads it and we read it ourselves as well. Therefore, you don't have to go back, says the Kaf HaChaim, and say the bracha. And hence, he says the Safek Brachot Lehakel here would be applicable as well. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Harvadia and his sons also they side with the Kaf HaChaim in this particular issue, that you won't say nowadays the way we have it, you won't say the bracha again. Now, if the maftir said the brachot to read the haftarah, and then they reminded him that he said the brachot on wrong haftarah, he started wrong haftarah, right? This usually happens, especially in Erev and Shabbat, that's Erev Rosh Chodesh, right? So he has to be reading the haftarah Machar Chodesh, and he started reading the haftarah of the parasha, regular parasha, and then they come to him and say, Chacham, you're reading the wrong haftarah. What happens in that case? Is it considered bracha lebatala? You know, the halacha would be, he doesn't have to say another bracha, he just goes back to read the proper haftarah and it'll be good to go. Now, if the maftir does not know how to read the 21 psukim from the ktav, then his brachot are not worthy, and the tzibur were not yotze with the kriya, and therefore you have to make sure to pick the right person for reading the haftarah. Now, if you have the minhag in your place, this is some kehilot in Klal Yisrael and Sfaradim have the minhag that the person that goes up to maftir, he is the one that actually reads the brachot of haftarah, and Chazan reads the haftarah bekoram. If you have a minhag like that, and then the guy goes back and says the brachot. So he doesn't read it, he just says the brachot and the chazan reads it. So then you could keep that minhag, it's fine. Because even though that it's not fit for being minhag, if you have a minhag like that, and the person doesn't know how to read it, it still is b'di'evet. Okay, you can keep that minhag going. Says the Mishna Berura, Lo yomeru, this is going back on the last piece over here in the Ramah that says, Ushnaim lo yomru haftara bepam achad, that two people should not be saying haftara together, the tre kali lo mishtami, the two voices simultaneously going on is not going to be heard properly by people. That's only if the guy is reading and the other person is reading out loud with him. You can't do that. But if you follow up and quietly read to yourself with the maftir, that would be fine, says the Mishnah Berura. Then you're not bothering the people who are trying to follow, listening to the Shaliach Tzibur, to the Chazan. Not only that, you should do read the Haftarah alongside with the Chazan belachash quietly mitoch hasefer imakore. The Pri Megadim says that a person should be reading milah b'milah ima shaliach tzibur kedei sheyetzeh lakore. This way you're listening to the Hazan, so therefore you're following word for word the Haftarah, and that would be the right conduct, says the Pri Megadim. The Chafetz Chaim over here in the short Biur Halacha that we have, it says in the name of Sha'ar Ephraim that the person should be following up and saying it lechatchila as well. And the Vilna Gaon it's brought in Sefer Maaseh Rav, and Mishna Berura brings it here somewhere. Here, ואיים בספר מעשה רב, שכתב דהה דכתב המגן אברהם, שיראה לקרוא בלחש, מתוך הספר, עם הקורא. It's this that Magen Avraham says that you should, לכתחילה, follow with the Chazan and read it, היינו דווקא כשקורא קורא מתוך החומש. That's only when they're not reading from actual klaf, they're reading it from a regular printed chumash. But if they have an actual scroll of Navi and the Chazan is reading like the Sefer Torah from a scroll, then then you should not be reading with him. You should just listen to him and be yotzeh, because that's the proper way to be yotzeh. But if you don't have a kosher haftarah, Sefer Haftarot, from the scroll, then you should be reading alongside with the Navi. As we said yesterday, that is the right conduct, that you should not just listen to the Haftarah, you should actually read. Every person should be reading the Haftarah for themselves. Says the Shulchan Aruch in Seif Vav, you don't start the Sefer Haftarah until the Sefer Torah is respectfully rolled up and closed and put away. You don't rush into it. Says the Mishna Berura, you're not allowed to start the Haftarah until you finish rolling up the Sefer Torah. And the reason for it is very simple, because the person that's rolling the Sefer Torah and putting it away also needs to listen to the Haftarah. So if you start and he is like busy with his thing, you are kind of like snatching it away from him, the opportunity, the ability to be listening to the Haftarah, and that's not right. Says the Mishna Berura, ובראשי משמע שצריך להמתין עד שיגלל הספר תורה במטפחותיה, that you have to wait not just for the Sefer Torah to be rolled, but also to be tied with the gartel and covered with the cover. And back for those communities that had not the box that we have, but they had to actually be rolled up and locked with a gartel, and the cover has to be put on it back, so it takes a little longer. You have to wait for all of that. based on the basic understanding of Rashi. En lesalek ma'al hashulchan sefer hanevi'im o achumash korim bo hamaftir ad achar habracha. You should not take away the sefer of Navi or Haftarah until you say the last brachot of Haftarah. So you should be having the sefer there when you're saying the bracha on it. Fine. Says the Shulchan Aruch in Seif Zayin. B'Shabbat she'haparashiyot mechubarot. Maftirim b'Haftarah parashat shiniyah. When you have the double parasha, you read the Haftarah of the second parasha usually. Ve'ayin lekaman siman taf chavchet. Says the Rama, v'na'agu la'azkir achar kriyat haTorah nishmot hametim. After kriyat haTorah, we usually say hashkava to mention the neshama of those deceased. Ulvarech ha'oskim b'sorchei tzibur, and also you give a bracha to those who work voluntarily in the community to help the cause of the tzibur. And of course, we have also the Mishna Berura Siman. That's the right time for giving the blessings to people and to the kahal. Kol makom lefi minhago. Every kehila should follow their minhag in this. V'na'agin lomar yakum purkan ve'en bazeh mishum isur tchina b'Shabbat. This is not asking for your needs on Shabbat, which would be prohibited. This is a communal tefillah, which would be allowed. Ve'gam kena'agin lomar avarachamim. The Ashkenazim, based on this Ramah, they say avarachamim. Ubekol makom she'en omrim bo sidkatcha v'sidkatcha sidkatcha. Every day that you would not say sidkatcha on Shabbat afternoon, which would mean sidkatcha is siduk hadin. The reason we have 3 psukim of siduk hadin is because 3 tzaddikim died on Shabbat afternoon, and that's Moshe Rabbeinu, Yosef, and David HaMelech. So therefore we say siduk hadin. Therefore, on regular Shabbat, even though that's Shabbat, we say these psukim of sidkatcha. But if Shabbat falls to also be on a day that had it not been Shabbat, you would not say Tachanun, we skip the Sidkatcha, right? So any day that you would not say Sidkatcha, Suts, we call it Sus, right? Sidkatcha, Vesidkatcha, Sidkatcha, right? Any time that we would not say Sidkatcha, En Omrim Oto. We don't say Avarachamim. Vechen, Kshesh Chatura or Milah, whenever you have a wedding, a Chatan in the thing, or Brit Milah, we would not say Avarachamim. Veyesh Mekomot She'en Omrim Oto, Kshemarchin HaChodesh Milevad, basically you follow the minhag of the kahal that you're in. Says the Mishna Berura, the reason that you do the haftarah of the second parasha is because that's the siyum of the kriyat Torah. This week, if you're doing double parasha, the second parasha is the last part of the kriyat Torah, therefore you do the haftarah of that. The ikar is the last one. Later on we'll discuss the specific cases of this in Acharei Mot Kedoshim. Sometimes they're separate. There will be a specific dinim that we'll get to B'ezrat Hashem when we discuss Siman Tav Kav Chet. Achar Kriyat HaTorah lafu ke'achar Ashrei lo yomar shum davar. After Kriyat HaTorah you could say, but after Ashrei you don't want to say anything. By the way, this is the reason of some keilot, including ours, that they don't do the drasha after Ashrei. They either do it before or they do it after Musaf, because says the Mishna Berura, Sha'kadish te'omrim lifnei ha'amud kodem tefilat Shemona Esrei hukai al Ashrei she'amar betchila. The Kaddish goes back on Ashrei, v'al ken en lehafsik benehem. You should not pause between Ashrei and Musaf. So therefore, you don't want to say Hashkava or even Sorchei Tzibur, all those things you don't want to do after Ashrei, right? Ve'halelu she'omrim en hefsek. When you put the Sefer Torah, that the Hallelu that you say is not considered hefsek. ומה שנשתרבב המנהג שיש חולה אוחז החזן הספר תורה בידו לאחר אשרי ואומר משברך. This minhag that after Ashrei they say משברך for a sick person, and you pause between Ashrei and Kaddish. That's before Musaf. Shelo kadinhu. That's not, Pri Megadim says that's not a proper conduct. Now, the Birkei Yosef says that's not such a big deal if you say the Mishaberach after Ashrei. It's not the end of the world, because once you do, after Chazarat Sefer Torah, you say Mizmor David, and you say a bunch of psukim afterwards, and after that you say Kaddish. All of that is still fine. Now, according to all of this, would be still a problem if you pause with the whole drasha in the middle, and then you have just the Kaddish, and you start Musaf after Shuvalim Onach. So, again, that will be a source for having the drasha perhaps after Musaf. So again, there are other nowadays, especially there are other considerations for that as well, which is not the time and place to discuss. But Be'ezrat Hashem, we will continue. This basically concludes Siman Resh Pei Dalet, and we'll continue on Siman Resh Pei Hey, Imir Hashem, in the days to come. Hazak Baruch.